Jesus, all the way. I'll forever trust in you. Jesus, all the way. JC 24/7.
It is said that almost everyone you meet can make you happy, either by when they enter your life or by when they leave. But what if the person who makes you unhappy doesn't want to leave, neither wants to let you go? Today we enter into a very sensitive but critical issue of domestic violence. And we have invited on set our resident pastor, Pastor Roger Morris. Glad to have you with us. Next to him is the ever-energetic and vibrant and well-experienced Margaret Sampson Brown, manager of the Victim and Support Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. And she's ably assisted by a team leader, or one of her team leaders, Aisha Price Corby, also of the Victim and Support Unit. We are happy to have you on set.
Happy to be here.
And I want to go straight to you, Mrs. Sampson Brown. Could you, in a nutshell, tell us, what is domestic violence?
Domestic violence, in a very simple form, is a behavior or a pattern of behavior which will be abusive, occurring between partners living in the same household, between brother and sister, husband and wife. They live in the same household, and that abuse could be financial, in that where they do not support each other via finances. It could be physical, where physical abuse it's sexual abuse, and it can be a gamut of other abuses. They're living in the same household, and that behavior continues. Now, that behavior also, those persons have to be living together for at least 1 year. The access so. 1 year, you're living for 1 year, then it qualifies you as a victim, or it qualifies you under the Domestic Violence Act. The pattern of behavior, abuses going on, physical abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse occurring in the household.
I notice your definition was very meticulous, because it seems to suggest that it could happen to male or female.
Male or female, and we want to clear this myth that domestic violence only happens between where women are concerned. There are men out there suffering. There are women who are violating our men. Our men are suffering at the hands of perpetrators who are women, who are their sisters, who are their mothers, and they qualify under the Domestic Violence Act. And we need for these men to speak up so that we could support them.
What are the current statistics in Trinidad and perhaps by extension the rest of the Caribbean?
Well, what I can say is that at the Victim and Witness Support Unit, where we deal with a gamut of offenses, but more so domestic violence. For the year, we have had almost 800 clients coming to us from the various satellite units throughout Trinidad and Tobago.
When you say for the year, what do you mean for with it?
For 2013.
So far?
Oh, yes.
And we are in June?
Oh, yes.
800?
Oh, yes. 800. And if you go at our crime and problem analysis unit of the police service, that will almost quadrupled.
Oh, my goodness.
And in addition to that, there are some victims of domestic violence who do not report it, but go straight to the court to apply for a protection order.
Okay.
And you find the court stats would have that's it. And then some of them go to their private counselors.
Okay.
They go to the private NGOs and so on. So what we are having is these statistics occurring in these various levels and at these various institutions. And I hold the view that all should come together to get a real picture as to the kind of domestic violence situation occurring in Trinidad and Tobago.
Pastor Morris, based on where you sit, how is it within the church? Is it as gloomy, dark and gloomy as Mrs. Brown has painted?
Pastor, I wish I had better news, and could say that the church is different. What we find happening is that the church is fast becoming a reflector of the society. And the thing about the church is that it is more alarming than we think. Because within the church environment, for several reasons, people would not want the church to look bad. They would not, that kind of thing. So they will keep a tighter lid on things.
Right.
But we know and we understand from our own experiences, and even from what others Sister Sampson Brown is reporting here, that the problem is very, very much accelerated.
Okay. Mrs. Price-Corby, could you maybe give us a sense of what are some of the signs and symptoms? Because the statistics that I hear are quite alarming.
Yes.
How do we identify somebody who's a victim?
There are several variables that would identify a victim or somebody that is experiencing domestic violence. You have things like isolation, right? They're not relating as they would usually do with friends or family. You have reduced socializing, limited recreation. You have also, in terms of communication, they're not contacting their relatives or so. Phone use has gone down. You have, of course, the physical marks of violence about their body. You have changes in their emotional behavior. They may tend to be more reserved. They appear to be more extroverted. They're usually a calm person. They may appear to be more aggressive. They may be more teary at times, but they're still not welcoming persons to get into that space to find out what is taking place. So there's several variables, and I mean, there's no end really, because this thing tends to affect persons differently based on their upbringing and based on the individual's personality.
What would be the most prevalent sign or symptom based on where you...
Well, some of those that I had mentioned would be the most prevalent signs.
Okay, so once you see those things, you begin to express some measure of concern.
Yes, at least to engage the person, to let them know, well, what is taking place. You know, I've noticed that you're not as you're used to. Is everything okay?
Okay.
Maybe there are some invisible signs that some of the things that Aisha said, that introverts, some of the things are not visible, and sometimes we just wait to see a hematoma, a cut. And you know, doors have hands, fridge have hands. You know, what happened to your face? The fridge door hit me. I fall on the step. And all these, because they continue because of that behavior. The perpetrator have them in this situation, in this his world, that they don't have a world of their own. So they make up stories.
And also in the workplace, their performance may be affected, their productivity may be affected, attendance, punctuality. So any type of unusual behavior that the person tends to exhibit is warrants concern.
I want to ask maybe it might be a controversial question. Is there ever a time when the woman provokes the man? That she looked for it. I mean, I've heard schools of thought who have rendered this.
I want to pause first. No, that is never.
The affirmative.
No, it's never.
Take some water as well.
It's one of the things that the perpetrator use. You know, in talking to the victim, you would hear her say she tried her best. You know, she would cook. She would do all the things that he liked, and then he would come home and the slightest thing, you know, he reacts it tempers with his word, and then at the end of it he will say, you see what you make me do?
Abusing someone is a personal choice.
The
person chooses that action. They may like to place the blame on the victim who they are directing it to, but that is a personal choice, because you don't see perpetrators going in their workplaces and being physically abusive to their employers. But they exert that type of energy towards their partner because they know that is a vulnerable one. There's passion in the relationship, so the person may not respond as the consequences with our employer. So it's a choice.
But are they born or are they made? Because I would hate to think that when I was walking down the aisle to say I do, I'm thinking that if you don't, I will do. You know, is it something that we, you know, that a person is born into, or is it that we are made or developed into?
Just answer. I want to say the end part of that.
Well,
we were not born. We were not
as my manager said, we are not born. Or perpetrators are not born. They are usually made. Their experiences, socialization, the environment in which they are brought up tend to contribute to this type of character being developed.
Pastor, you agree with that?
I think I agree with that, because the thing about it, what we are born into, we are all born into sin. But in terms of taking a peculiar path, when you were asking the question just now about, well, the previous question, I was thinking about two terms. Responsible and responsible. You are responsible for your action. And you are responsible. You may not be stimulus able. I cannot stop Mrs. Sampson Brown from tapping me on my head, which I know she wouldn't do while we on set. I cannot stop her from doing that. But I could handle how I respond to that, and I could probably just shake her hand and say, God bless you, sister. You know,
okay.
after I'm responsible.
Yeah. Right.
And that is something that people must always remember. Yeah. So even in the context of that, the socialization process and the experiences that people go through shape how they come, and as one of the things I know we'll get into is the whole question of abuse, people abusing people.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
So I would lean on the side of the maid in that regard.
Okay. Well, let's look at effects. What are some of the long-term or short-term effects that abuse has on the victim?
Some of them do not or have not been able to forge effective relationship because of they don't trust anybody. They walk around with a veil of fear. They can't hold an effective conversation. If they get into a relationship, they do not really converse or effectively trust that other partner. You would find some of the effects, some of the victims, they eat and they put on weight. It's as if to hide this body. This body is not mine, it's for the perpetrator. So let me do what I want to do with it. And these are some of the terms. Some of the terms also that the victims, they become violent to other people. They're violent to their children. They're violent to even their friends. Some of the victims also become alcoholics. They consume alcohol because they want to dead the pain. They become drug addicts also. And they consume these to deaden, to become lifeless almost. It's become, this is me.
They may also become promiscuous.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Do they?
Well, God, please, help me now, please. I don't know what to do. But I'll even try. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Bole was doing something. I disturbed Bole.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
No, nobody. I don't understand what's going on with me.
All right, just calm down a little bit. Just calm down.
Calm down.
All right, do you want a seat?
What?
Do you want to have a seat?
No, see, I don't want no seat.
Do you want some water?
I don't want no water. Here, my children home. My children home. Oh, God.
All right.
If I'm mad, I'm not mad. I'm not mad, you know.
All right, just tell us.
I'm
just tell us.
I'm not
what's
mad.
happening.
I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad
Okay,
at all.
tell us what's happening.
I'm fed up. I'm fed up. Oh, you don't know what I'm going through. You're watching me. I'm mad. I have a degree, you know, and I do my master's.
What's your name? What's your name?
My name is not important right now with my children.
Okay.
Anybody have a phone?
Okay.
I need a phone. I need to call
Okay, where
them.
are the children?
The home.
Home is where? Tell us.
Right now, I just want to meet them.
All right, just stay calm. Do you want some water?
I don't want no water. Listen, this man beating me right through and I can't take it no more. Listen.
Where do you live?
I live down the road. You see what happened? I see the door open and I run upstairs. I thought I get help from somebody up here.
But you're in the wrong place, really. You know?
I'm in the wrong place?
No, listen, hold on.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I get till next morning and I can't take it. I can't take it, miss.
Come.
Wait.
Come. We want to help you. We want to help you. Tell us where the children are so that we can call the police and we could go to the home to secure the children.
They live in Diego Martin.
All right, who is home with the children?
I don't know. I had to leave. Okay. Because if I didn't leave, he would have killed me this time. Because you see, he didn't want me to work, right?
Okay.
And I went to work. He allowed me to work this time. And when I went to work, I just reached home 1 minute late.
Okay.
And he wasn't pleased about it. And he just started to hit me. And I had enough. My mother don't know about it. My father don't know. Nobody don't know what's going on with me. And I just fed up at the legs. I'm fed up. And I can't talk to nobody. I'm doing everything for the man, you know. And I'm doing everything for this man, you know. I'm washing, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm ironing, I'm doing everything. And the man just beating me just so. I wasn't placed on this earth just for beating.
Okay.
I felt, oh God, I hear him. You hear him. Oh God, he coming.
All right.
Welcome back to our segment on domestic violence. And of course, we want to apologize for the sudden break, but you would certainly understand that we had to take it. And what do you know? Joining us on set is our person who would have entered very suddenly, Jean Pilgrim, and she's been engaged by Mrs. Sampson Brown.
What has happened? We have called the police down at the West End. The 2 victim and witness support officers have accompanied the police. They have gone to your home. They have removed the children. So the children are now in the possession of the victim and witness. They are taking them to your mother's home. We have contacted your mother and they are taking her there. The children there, so I want you to feel comfortable with that, okay?
Well, I feel a little better.
Okay, they have also, we have the cell number of your husband, and we are trying to call him, but he's not answering the phone.
He won't answer the phone.
He won't answer? Okay. But what I want to tell me how you feeling. You came in here very distraught, and I want to say to you, we are glad that you came, because we are here to help you. Tell us something. What is happening?
Well, you see, after we get married and stuff, everything just started to go downhill. He was the best thing, you know. He was the best thing in my life, but everything just started to go downhill. And he didn't want me to work. He was real controlling. I couldn't tell my parents about it because that was the eyeball. Everybody else come around and they didn't like them, but they loved this one. And then for me to disappoint them and tell them I get in licks every day.
How long you've been married?
4 years. And every day I couldn't take it. I can't take it no more.
So this has been going on for how long?
3 years.
3 of the 4 years.
And if I complain to his friends and stuff, they just go back and tell him. And then there's more licks again. I just don't know what to do. I fed up.
Well, I am glad that you came, so at least we can start the process with you. Do you feel comfortable talking to the victim and witness support officers? Do you think you'll feel comfortable?
Any of them know him?
No.
You're sure about that?
We are very independent and very professional, and we will deal with you in that way, and very confidential.
Once or let's see nobody and know him, I good with that, because if you know any of them or they know him, I figure this time I go there. Why? And I can't take it.
Why you said that? Why
because he's threatening me all the time to kill me. And if I complain to anybody, he just go and threaten them that he will kill them, and I can't take it. I can't take it.
What we have done also, Mrs. Pilgrim, is that we have sent for our victim and witness support officer and an investigator, and they're actually waiting downstairs for you. Yes, and we want they're downstairs, so I need for you to go and speak with them. They're going to work with you. And so on, talk with your husband, talk with your children, and see how best we can help you, because we are in the business of helping.
So, ma'am, that means I have to go back to him, no?
Well, we are not saying to leave, we are not saying to go. What we are doing, the victim officer is just going to work with you. You see, all what you're sharing with us and all that pain that you're feeling, I want you to talk to the victim and witness support officer, and they are going to help you. At the end of the day, we want you to make a good decision. We don't want you to make a false decision or a rash decision. We want you to make a decision, and the officer is going to help you towards making that decision. You alone will make that decision. Not us.
So they're downstairs?
They are downstairs.
So I just go in and let them
go down, and they are downstairs waiting. No, we have already briefed them, and they are expecting you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Sorry to disturb all you.
Oh, it's all right.
Sorry.
It's all right.
It turned out that she came to the right place after all.
Yes.
Pastor Morris, this must have been an unnerving one for you.
Yes.
I saw your face, very ashen. What would you as a pastor do if somebody enters your office, your church, with a similar situation?
Well, of course, the church environment is a little different from here. One of the things you try to do is calm the person down, because that is always something that is critical to do, so that they become a little more coherent. You could begin to find out what are some of the issues, the more immediate issues, like how this lady would have said she has her children. And Mrs. Sampson Bung would have known to dispatch a unit to go to deal with the children. So that is always very, very critical. What is the critical area of intervention, I would call that. And then try to convince them that they need to get some kind of professional help. So we have people who will come in and support and bring that kind of thing, get them to agree to that. Because one of the things you would realize, this lady was kind of hesitant because she didn't know if some of the people in the unit know the husband, that kind of thing. So try to convince them, try to convince the person to get the help, and that is how I would have treated a situation like that.
The whole matter of reporting.
Yes.
Who should report, and when, and how soon after learning of the incident?
Anybody could report. The victim, sometimes the fear factor is so real that the victim cannot report. A neighbor, a friend, a relative, the pastor, the members of the church.
Even if he hears a rumor?
Even if he hears a rumor starts, basically, you hear a rumor. When you define rumor and you connect it with the reality, because there it is a member of your church sitting there, and you hear someone, her husband has real beat her. but you're looking and you're seeing things that is strange about that member of the church. You have to connect it as against a malicious person saying, that person, he does beat the wife and whatever.
Right.
But sometimes you say that he has beat the wife and the wife very happy and whatever, and she's sad because that is the mask.
Right.
She comes to church and she put that mask on saying that you better behave in front of the members of the church or else. And she puts on a very dramatic, peaceful, loving, obedient wife. And when she leaves the church and the environs of that peaceful and harmonic behavior environment, all hell break loose.
Okay.
All hell break loose. So you are the one, I wouldn't say the first judge, but you have to be able to say something is wrong with my member of my church.
Something as a pastor,
yes.
what if I want to intervene before I call the police? Would you advise?
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
But I don't want the pastor to tell the client who is in a situation that is dangerous. God going to bless, God bless the marriage till death do us part. We are seeing a lot of death parting, a lot of death parting these days, Yes, till death do us part and all kind of thing.
Right.
I am for that. I will stay in a relationship if there is situation. Okay, fine, everybody have the tit and the tat, everybody, but it must be one that both of us could resolve.
Right.
And it doesn't have to spill over into a continuous and a sustained beating and threatening and fear and ostracizing, and I becoming an introvert and I can't speak to my friend. I can't even call on the phone.
Okay.
If I call on the phone, I have to put the phone on speaker. We have reports like that. Put the phone on speaker so he would know who is speaking to her. And all these type of abuse, as a pastor, information come to you, it is not sufficient for you to sit down and say, okay, let me counsel both of you. Sit down here, all you behave all yourself, read the Bible, go in a particular chapter and whatever. No, we're not saying that. Don't do that. Because remember the last time there was some measure of spiritual counseling and the person died in the bathroom. She died in the compound.
Any signs of violence really should be reported.
Yes.
Okay.
And you as the pastor, if the client comes to you and say he beats me continuously and whatever, you have to be wary how you bring those two persons in the same room.
Because a lash doesn't start today.
Yeah.
A lash would not have started yesterday.
Yes.
There's a processing that takes place, and then you execute the action.
Yes.
So even when somebody comes to you to report, well, I got hit once, we can't sit back and say, well, I don't think you'll be hit tomorrow, or let's work it out. You can't really determine when it may happen again and the severity with which it would happen again.
Pastor, how does that challenge? You want to say something?
No, go ahead.
How does that challenge your philosophy on for better, for worse?
I was just coming to that.
Sorry.
Flesh and blood has not revealed that.
There you go. So tell us what Spirit says.
One of the things I have gleaned through these experiences and situations, and even as my learned friends speak now, is sometimes we may have to define for our members the difference between leaving an environment that is harmful and potentially life-threatening, as opposed to leaving a marriage.
Right.
It is not the same thing. Right. Sometimes you're still interested in the marriage, but you may have to leave this situation because of the extenuating circumstances, that kind of thing.
Because you were interested in the marriage.
Right. That is it. So, so that this person might need space so that they can better themselves, they could relate to counseling and look at ways, explore options as to how we could improve this relationship.
Okay.
They may need to, to experience that jolt. So it doesn't violate the better or worse formula, But, one of the things I say, not that you encourage people to stay in those situations, but we also have to be mindful that we don't be harsh and quick to determine what worse is.
Okay.
You understand? Because you have some people who, long before, they would have put a line on what worse is.
Right.
As soon as this happened, the man done, and you're over and that kind of thing. But that is not what we're saying. There's need for you to come out of the environment, yes, because there's a threat to your life. But the marriage could still remain intact, probably until such time as we see how we progress and that kind of thing.
Aisha, at the risk of sounding redundant, somebody has heard or knows of somebody who's being abused. What steps would you give to that individual to intelligibly intervene without maybe adding risk to the endangering of the life of the individual? What steps would you want to give a listening audience? Somebody knows of it, or somebody is in it, or perhaps knows of somebody who's in it.
Okay, so you are aware or
Yeah.
you believe that someone is being abused, right? So it's important first to really try to befriend that person.
Okay.
So you try not to judge that person, try to befriend them, because you may be the only line of support that they are liaising with, they're still being open with. So befriend that person.
Sure.
It's also helpful to engage any close relative also that could add support to that person.
Okay.
Be mindful about the children that are involved.
Okay.
So have them be mindful about the safety of the children, if the children probably need to go to another location while they resolve their issues.
Right.
If there's violence, definitely present the option of reporting the situation to the person and go through the options, the effects of reporting it, what happens when you go to the station.
Right.
The victim support officer that is available to walk you through the process. If you're uncomfortable with speaking with an officer, we can liaise with you and enlighten you as to how the procedure would be. We do a needs assessment to see if there are physical needs, financial needs, emotional needs, and see how we can present options towards meeting those needs. Right? So, I mean, there are several things that can take place to really couch or develop that type of bridge or gap to support the victim, to surround the victim.
I want to come back to you, Mrs. Sampson Brown. Now I am out of it. The situation has been dealt with as far as the perpetrator. I'm out of the environment, but I'm still feeling the effects of it. How do you counsel somebody like that? What do you tell them? What process do you use to rehabilitate them, if that's the word?
Well, you actually have to start where the client's at. And that is where what we normally do in the victim and witness support unit is that we arrange sessions for our clients where they can come and ventilate. And it may be that this could be the only area that is safe space and place that they can come and they're able to speak about some of the situations. And sometimes in speaking about the situation, they find solution because we do not want to impose solutions on our client. We do not want that felt need approach. So sometimes they have the solution. So we just allow them in that space where they can come and sit and vent and speak about, have something to eat. Just have some of the clients, a simple thing as sleeping. Sleeping is a counseling method, you know. She said, I haven't been able to sleep. So you can come and just sit in the couch and just sleep and give that to almost to rejuvenate that client, to move them from one space of that dependency and that fear so that they can start to think. Can think, I am a person. I have feelings. I have emotions. I don't belong. Nobody owns me. I can start to think my children, I can sit with them and feel happy instead of just feeling happy for a moment, because as soon as that door opens, he comes in that door and that whole place changes. I'm able to exist in an environment with my children and with myself, feeling loved, feeling belonging to somebody. I'll be able to call my mother and speak with her. And all these are interventions that we allow our clients to do for themselves. We just are that enabling. Enabling.
Pastor, I want to conclude with you. Because somebody in a situation like that may have felt abandoned by God. What biblical counsel would you give to them in the next few seconds that we have, or the final few seconds?
There are lots of biblical passages that refer to God's handling and God's dealing with people of all different kind of situations. One of the things that God says in the book of Ezekiel is that I will never leave you nor forsake you. Jesus, we see Jesus in his gesture is always reaching out to people of all different walks of life. There was a woman who, as the Bible says, was caught in the act of adultery, and they cast her at Jesus' feet, which is the best place to be put, by the way, at the feet of Jesus. So God is all-encompassing, all-embracing. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. I will give you rest. Him that cometh to me, I will in no wise cast out. So the Bible has a lot of counsel, and going along with the Bible, shall I say more important, or just as important as having all those biblical counsel, is that the church makes itself available to people in that kind of way, in that kind of non-judgmental, open kind of way where they can come and they have a safe place to recover and to have their issues dealt with.
Of course, Psalm 18:6 comes to my mind. I cried unto the Lord and he heard me out of my distress. God is listening to you in the midst of your distress. Despite what you think, he is still with you. Thank you for joining us on this very sensitive issue. Next time we look at domestic violence as it relates to the perpetrator. See you again next time on JC 24/7.